Howdy. The Board of Trustees of the Harris County Department of Education now convened in a board meeting on Wednesday, April 18th, 2018, in the boardroom at 6300 Irvington Boulevard, Houston, Texas, at 1:25 p.m. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and this meeting of Board of Trustees. As trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personal appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the department are a responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on today's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted under sections 551071 to 551084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking, and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking time today to join us and for your interest in the Harris County Department of Education. I see that we have some visitors, and we got a number of visitors, and we also have people addressing the board. Excellent. So first, we're going to go do the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. But let's start with the invocation. Anthony Washington, please lead us.
We thank you for this opportunity to come together. We thank you for this day. We ask that this room be filled with your strength and your guidance, that we may all be on one accord. We ask that at the end of this meeting, Lord, we have a successful and productive meeting. Amen.
Amen. Natalia, could you lead us in a pledge?
Yes, if you would join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
So, I see that we have, like Colleen, Vera, are you up?
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Colleen Vera, and I'm a Harris County taxpayer. And I just had a question on action item 7D. When you get to that, I was hoping that maybe you could answer some questions for the public, because when I read it, it appears to me that you guys are, through the federal grant, are putting playground equipment on private property. One of these property owners has millions of dollars of property in Harris County, and it appears that a family member owns the daycare that is leasing the space. So it just seems like we're taking federal money, our federal tax dollars, and putting permanent improvements on this private property. And I was curious as to if they decide to get out of the contract, do they get to keep the equipment? It's just really confusing to me. And I was hoping that when you get to that part, you might ask some questions and find out exactly, so the public understands exactly who is actually benefiting from this, and what happens if they sell the property or whatever? Do the taxpayers get that money back? Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. And it looks like Josh Wallenstein, you're up next.
Okay, hi, trustees and Mr. Colbert, and Mike Wolf's empty chair. Thank you for your time. I'm Josh Wallenstein. I'm in the Democratic Party's runoff for the at-large seat here on the board, and the runoff is this May. And for those of you that are here, I hope I can count on your vote and your support. I am fighting to win this race, and I'm optimistic, so optimistic I'd like to address some of my priorities when I join you next year. And so first up is an integrity initiative. Current rules have allowed trustees like Mr. Wolf to dance around board policies and ethical norms. This type of action undermines your constituents' faith in you. And so we need some things. We need a conflict of interest policy with real teeth that provides both clear guidance and clear repercussions for violations. We need internal controls similar to what is standard practice at corporations worldwide that require full and public disclosure of any benefits, financial or otherwise, received by trustees or their close family members. Because we showed last meeting how your current disclosures under the annual financial management report are insufficient. They're going to be incomplete. They're going to be not comprehensive. And by doing so, by making sure we have appropriate internal controls, we will ensure full and complete transparency, and the voters deserve to know. And finally, I propose mandatory annual ethics training for trustees. These are protections for you, trustees, so that you don't have to sully your respective reputations by voting for something as distasteful as naming a building after a fellow trustee's mother. With these sorts of protocols and controls, we can renew the public's trust in your judgment and decisions, and I'm counting, therefore, on your cooperation so that together we can bring integrity back to the board. Now, there are a number of other initiatives and priorities that I'll share with you in the coming months. And of course, if you just can't handle the suspense, you can go to my website, www.joshwallenstein.com, and find out more. So thank you for your time and for your service to the public.
Ron Angeletti.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron Angeletti, here representing myself in interest of students. I'm here today to remind everyone. I'd like to start with a quote, infamous quote. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And in a school district that reports to educate and service students that are in need, it's disturbing that Harris County Public Education has 2 behavior schools without behavior specialists. And this is not new information. Maybe to any new board members, perhaps, maybe it's new, but this is very familiar information, as I've been before this board on several occasions to try to voice these concerns, and I did pay a price as a result of it. However, I refuse to be silenced because students, the most vulnerable students are sent to Harris County because districts believe, at least you misrepresent, that you are going to provide specific services. But as a former educator in HCDE, I know firsthand that these services are not being provided. On many of, especially these 2 campuses I'm speaking of, the AB East and West, restraints are common practice. Restraints, red calls is called. Students have a crisis, as opposed to be proactive to provide services to ensure that these students are learning methods and strategies to keep from escalating to that point. Common practice is to restrain them until they submit. Once they submit, check them out with the nurse, send them back to class, or home perhaps. No behavior specialist, no one to help debrief them, to de-escalate why the crisis happened to begin with. And I do have copies of emails sent to the administration and to Human Resource, Natasha Truitt, and I'd like to leave a copy with the board if it's appropriate. But again, this is not new information. I have been before this board. But the goal here today is to hope to stimulate the interest of those of you that did join for the right reason, or the public that is listening, that to know exactly what is going on. Harris County has a common practice of using the attorney to suppress these centers. Any teachers or anyone that think they're going to speak out spend thousands of dollars to block open public record requests, to come into grievance only to have grievances not heard because of legalities and using all type of legal loopholes. So a teacher that has served nearly 10 years, you would think that the board and you would think that the administrator would at least want to hear some concerns from that teacher. However, again, thousands of dollars spent to suppress exactly what those concerns are. And I see common practice, the agenda, the items. Of all those items, if you can show me one of them that's directly pertaining to students' needs, not just this board meeting. Anyone can go to the website and look at all the previous agenda items, and if you can count more than 5 times they address needs of students, it's a lot. I have never saw it. And today, no different with the item here today. The agenda has a few items I know you guys are going to discuss in executive session, like you like to go under the radar to discuss the things and to try to keep it out of the public sight. But I implore this board to ask questions, to find out why are you moving to get rid of teachers? Why are you firing teachers? Why are you making these moves? What prompted that? Ask them about the students that were injured in these specific incidents. And I doubt it, as a teacher, I doubt if these teachers come to work looking to harm a student. However, if they're trying to do a restraint that they get 1 day of training to do at the beginning of the school year, but restraints happening throughout the whole school year, what do you expect? Injuries are going to happen. Right now you have a teacher that's out, been out the whole year because you have to pay him because he was injured on this so-called red call. Now you have several students in the month of March alone. That's just the ones I know about. However, you guys have the data. I'm sure you can ask the questions that I probably can't get through public record requests because it's suppressed, because the attorney was sent to the attorney general asking to block specific information. Why? That's for you guys to find out. Maybe you guys should ask that question. And maybe not here, maybe the Department of Education, United States Department of Education can ask those questions. So thank you for your time, and thank you for this platform to voice my concerns.
Thank you, Ron, for your insight. We also have some visitors here. If you wouldn't mind, maybe standing up or waving, or just letting us know you're here. Jonathan Miller, good to see you. Good to see you again. Andrea Duhan, good to see you. Emily Solden. All right, Emily, pleasure seeing you. Matt, is that Meliel? Matt? Hope I said it close enough. I butchered it, I'm sure. David Wilson. Good seeing you, David. Danny Norris. All right. Prince Brian. All right. Good seeing you all. Thank you all for joining us. Okay. I believe we have maybe some reports and presentations.
Pardon me. I did say I want to leave these copies with the board. How do I submit them?
You right?
Yep. Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. I'd like to welcome everybody to our board meeting today. We've had a busy month, really trying to wrap up and get ready for the end of the school year, but we've had several significant events happen in the past month or so. Start with our annual chess tournament. This year we had our second chess tournament, and unfortunately, once again, I lost to one of our students. Pulled my queen out a little bit too early, was too aggressive, and thought he wouldn't see it, and he nabbed her. I'd really like to thank Dr. Keys and Mindy Robinson for their leadership and bringing the students together to participate in our chess tournament. That's the young man that kind of whooped up on me. And Mindy Robinson's campus once again was able to maintain the victorious championship of our annual chess tournament, and Dr. Keys needs to put in a little bit extra work to try to get that trophy back to his campus. We also have just finished up our Scholastic Awards. This year we had a record-breaking year with 61 national medals that were handed out. As some of our trustees remember, this is the initiative that they supported in sending kids to New York last year. We are recognized in the nation as one of the region's most foremost organization that puts together this. If you go to our website, we have plenty of pictures of that event, and I'd also like to personally thank Andrea Seagrave and her leadership in being able to coordinate that. Finally, we're doing something new this year that has been created and led by Dr. Mays, where we are having our first Teacher of the Year this year for each campus. And so several teachers submitted applications and wrote essays to apply for this. Ultimately, next year we would like to get to the point where we extend this award to our teaching assistants. This year, Suzanne Boyd from AB West was awarded Teacher of the Year. Gabrielle Gardner from AB East, and Joanna Lee from High Point East. The ceremony will be on May 15th, and I believe we're taking them out to dinner, and look forward to that. I'm going to pass out to you folders that have invitations to that function that I'm sure they would love to see y'all attend. And we look forward to continuing that tradition and expanding it moving forward. Oh, and the last thing I would like to say is, unfortunately, one of our, oh, you need one more? Okay. I just wanted to recognize that we had the passing of First Lady Barbara Bush yesterday, which is a significant event, I think, to our country. I don't know that you could find a better representative of that position, and she served with class and is a Houstonian, so I wanted to, you know, certainly recognize that. With that, that's all I have.
Thank you. And let's see, just moving right along. Do we have an annual update on HCDE Head Start Division with Mrs. Peacock?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to start off by introducing and asking my Head Start team to stand up. I have available for you a PowerPoint, which I provided for you. But this year, I'd like to spend our time highlighting our campus leadership. So we'd like to make a video presentation to you. As you can see, where the rubber hits the road, and where leadership is very important, that every day that our center managers are there, and they're everything from teacher to housekeeper to cook to leader of the center, making it happen for our children and families every day in all of our Head Start in our 16 locations. I've also provided for you a PowerPoint. I want to make sure to see if you had any questions about any information in the PowerPoint. And also I wanted to express, if you would look back to around page, to see our LaPorte parking lot was finished this year as one of our accomplishments. I would just like to say thank you very much to the Policy Council members with the support of our board representative, Mr. Don Somners, and being very instrumental in helping us move that forward. Parking is so much safer. The city turned it into a one-way street also. And it has just really changed the level of service and children being able to enter and leave the center. It has really changed LaPorte Head Start. So I want to make sure I express our appreciation for that.
We just received, this wasn't in our board packet, that's why.
Uh-huh.
We just received it.
I got minutes. Can wait.
You want us to look and then ask you questions?
If you have questions.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to present it. Can you please describe? Oh, thank you for reporting on the teachers and staff impacted by Harvey, and we appreciate those who were returned to work and were working through that and helping the children and families recover. I'm sure that was, and is still probably an ongoing process. I see here on this one-pager describing your overall congratulations on 1,650 students served. What does this mean? Cost of program transfer out, zero for capital outlay and teacher recruitment. You do spend money on teacher recruitment.
Right, but this is money that come in from the general fund. So we received no funds in from HCDE that year.
But you do spend money on teacher recruitment?
Yes,
okay.
out of our federal funds,
okay.
yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Please, Ms. Trotman.
Thank you, Vanita. Can you tell me, in general, the outcome of the federal review and the one you did in February and March, and then the audit in April?
So we have not received information back yet on our Focus 2, which happened in the week of February the 5th. We have received our class scores back, and I'm happy to say that we exceeded the national average in all of the areas and all of the domains for the classroom review. And that has to do with student and teacher interaction.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please, Trustee Evans.
All right, of the staff members that were displaced from their homes, have they all been able to get back in their homes, or still in progress?
I actually know of 2 who are not back in their homes. One's still in a hotel.
Are there any other trustees that have any questions or comments, concerns? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got another update from the department's Record Management Division. Curtis Davis,
Good afternoon.
please proceed.
You have in front of you a presentation from Records Management. I would like to go through this presentation, but I'm really going to do a little bit something different. I'm going to do some highlight. I'm going to talk to you about our core business. We have a 5-function core business that we do here in Records Management. One being storage. Our storage right now, we're at 95% capacity on our record storage record center. And that's going to get pretty full pretty quick, because what we're learning now this year is that a lot of the districts was impacted by the flooding of Harvey. So more of the records are now coming in, as opposed to the district would keep 2 to 3 years of records on file at the districts, but a lot of the areas got flooded, of course, so more of the records are coming in on a daily matter than they would keep in their place. Another one of our core business is the removal of records from the shelf. We remove thousands and thousands of records on a monthly basis from the shelves, and that hasn't stopped yet. We're still removing about 15,000 to 20,000 records every year. So we always kind of offset on what we take out versus what we put in. But with the impact of Harvard, we may be putting in a lot more than we're removing at this time. The third core business matter is the imaging. Our imaging world is it's gotten really big. We just received notice back in January about the city of Houston wants to do a major contract to image most of their permanent records. Now, the city of Houston may store 300,000 boxes of records with us. So not all of that is permanent. Probably half of that would be permanent records. So we may be, over the next 5 years, imaging a lot of those records. In turn, once you image those records, then they will be destroyed. So creating space once again. Another one of our core business functions is our transportation. Now, we already hit about 7 counties throughout the Harris County area, the Fort Bend, Montgomery, all the way over to Liberty County. And we're getting calls a lot more now to go further out. Districts that have been impacted is calling us a lot more now to go out. Alvin is one of the districts that wants to do business with us. The city of Galveston has just signed up with us. That'll be on your board agenda next month to bring in their records back to us once again. So the transportation, our fleet may have to grow a little bit. That's what I'm saying. Another one of our core businesses is the recycling is getting bigger with identity theft out there. More and more people now want this console. You put your shredding documents in the console and we come and pick them up. We may be doing a rotation of 200 to 300 bin services and console services per month with calls from Fort Bend County now wanting us to do all of their buildings to put in consoles and bins and come and pick up those records to be recycled for confidentiality reasons. And that's it. That's the 5th core business services. And let me take 1 minute to introduce Anthony Washington. He's you can stand up, please, sir. He's our operations manager. He is the guy that's making all this work because I'm just throwing it at him. So, so he has to coordinate all of this and have everything going on. So with that, you have my presentation. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just want a clarification. I don't understand what you do with transportation. I mean,
we deliver, pick up, and deliver all over the counties.
You pick up and deliver
records, documents.
Oh, so that it can maintain security. You're picking it. Okay. It wasn't clear when you first said that. I understand now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My question is, do you have, due to the imaging, do you have up-to-date equipment, or are you still using the older, less automated equipment?
We have up-to-date equipment. We use the Canon scanners. For what we're doing, that's a bigger production scanner. So we use the Canon scanners. We have probably about 6 or 7 now, and most likely we'll be ordering more.
Okay. Well, that's the way to keep from overflowing, is to increase imaging.
Yes, definitely.
Does anyone have any other questions? Comments, concerns? Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Moore, please. We're we're here. Please, go ahead. Proceed.
Would be interested in, and I'm looking here at your financials of how, what kind of income you're producing from this, and if you're going to be reading this, it says you need to expand. So what are we looking for in the future to expand, and what are we going to have to, what are you going to need in capital expenditures for that?
Well, the income that we are producing now is close to $2 million a year, with an expenditure now of maybe 1.9 or 1.8. Okay, so the growth, of course, this is storage, so it's slow growing. So the expanding area, what we're trying to do now is to make sure that when we get ready to expand, that we'll have the additional revenue to expand with. So our expansion may not take place this year or next year because we still have in and out. We still have boxes coming in and we still have boxes going out. So we're able to keep space. You know, what we do every year is we create a large amount of boxes that's going to be destroyed, and we send out certificates and then we destroy those boxes. That also makes sure that we have enough coming in to fill those spaces back up. So the years that we've been in this building, we have not expanded beyond where we are in the last 10 years. Actually, the last 10 years, we're still in the same spot. So our plans is to keep growing in and out, removing records and bringing in records, removing records and bringing in. Well, the second phase of that is now we're going to be scanning more records. That's going to remove records faster. So we would like to expand a little bit in the building, only if we had to do more expansion. And I think there's a little room in the building that we can expand to. Not a lot, but a little. So for the next probably year or two, we won't be doing any heavy expansion capital-wise, just in the world of imaging. So buying scanners, putting that into a production mode, and imaging all those records so we can get rid of them in a timely manner.
Well, my only concern is that, you know, that this remains at least profitable, that we're making some income off this, and that that we do some kind of analysis to see that, you know, if we're going to expand, that it is worthwhile. I actually do know a little bit about this business. In industry, I was in the records management business for a couple of years. And so one of my big concerns is that it does take a lot of investment to do this. And I just want to make sure that if we do that, that it is appropriate for this, for the Harris County to be a part of that. The Harris County Department of Education to be a part of that. And it does take, it's very manpower intensive to take these records and scan them if you've got these paper copies. Yes. And that involves a lot more than just hiring and paying some salary. There's a lot of other things that go with that. And so you get in over your head before you realize it. And so it's not that I'm against the record management, understand that. I'm just wanting it to be managed properly, and then what is the right level for this organization.
Yes, sir. Well, let me clarify that for you a little bit. Within our group, we have over 100 years of managerial experience in records management. Anthony has over 25. I'm over 35. We have other people that's been at HCDE over 25 and 27 years, and that's just 4 of us. So we have the experience. We analyze this every year and see where we're going to go and what we will be able to spend and what we need not to spend in order to stay afloat. So I think we may have the experience that we need to keep the program running pretty strong. And we always look at what's going on in the industry, so to make sure that we don't get over our head. If we can't do it, then we won't do it. If there's something new going on in the industry, and if we can't do it, then we won't do it.
Okay. So. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? No?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to a report of the feasibility subcommittee from Trustee Don Sumners.
I do not have a report this month. Hopefully next month.
Very much. Are there any other board reports from board members concerning attendance or participation in board or HCD related conference, event activity, or committees, accolades for an HCD staff member or other deserving person? Fellow trustees? Trustee Wolf?
Yeah, I just wanted to make mention the first year that Lewis and I came on the board, I believe it was Barbara Bush came and spoke at a dinner for the Education Foundation of Harris County. So I just wanted to mention that and thank her for her service.
Having heard nothing else, let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not paying very good attention, am I? Trustee Carter-Lee?
Lee Carter.
Oh, I'll get it right.
Thank you. I was able to speak at a group in Sunnyside yesterday evening about the recovery school, Mr. Colbert and Don, and they are very excited about the prospect, and all the staff that are working on the recovery school community is waiting. So I hope we keep moving forward. And I wore my pearls today in honor of First Lady Barbara Bush, and I appreciate all the work she did on literacy for children across our nation.
Trustee Troutman? Diane? No, nothing? Okay. Let's move on to the monthly financial reports with Dr. Jesus Amesquez.
Okay, these are the financial highlights and reports as of for the month of April 18, 2018. We're going to look at the budget amendment report for the month of April. I want to note that we prepared February financials, and they're available on the website. Since we did not have a March board meeting, those are posted on our website at this time, and there were no budget amendments in the month of March. All our financial statements are posted on our website. And our balance sheet as of March 31st is total assets of $44,520,748, liabilities of $2,447,618, and fund equity of $44,520,748. Our unaudited fund balance as of March 31st is $26,688,074 with all the different categories as required under GASB. Our financial ratios as of March 31st, this is the 7th month of the year. We're at 61% in fund balance to expenditures ratio. Working capital, we're at $42 million as of March. The unassigned fund balance ratio, we're at 37%, same as last year at the same time. Debt to income ratio, we're at 7%, 5% from last year. Tax revenue to total tax revenue ratio, it's at 36%. Last year we were at this time at 28%. That should be around 26% at the end of the year. Indirect costs, we're at 2%, same as last year. Fee for service ratio revenue, we're at 24%, a little bit better than we were a year ago at the same time. And then our growth ratio, it's a negative 4% in our revenue. Again, a lot of them due to the some of the 2 weeks in Harvey early in the year. It is our growth is in fee for service revenue is slowed down. So last year we were at 9%. Fund balance activity or amendments. We did not have anything in December, January. And then in February we had an amendment, and then in March we did not have any amendments. Year to date, we're at 78% in the general fund budget to actual in the 7th month of the year. Overall, we're at 59% overall, 61 million out of $102 million revenue budget. This is all the amendments that we've had by month, and so we're at a total 102 million revenues and appropriations of 119, and that's because of the grants that overlap from of 2 fiscal periods. In expenditures, we're at 49% for the general fund. Overall, we're at 51% for the year, and where we would be at the 7th month will be at the 58% of the fiscal year. Our donations report for the month of March were $18,618.57 for March, and there were donations from research and evaluation and school art and writing awards donations. Our values as of March were $436,318,779,049. There is $1,996,000,000 still left to be reviewed by HCAT. So we're projecting that to be at $438 billion at the end of the year. Based on that, we're looking at our values from the beginning of the year, where we projected at $435 billion. Our year-to-date collections, we're at 98% of the budget. We've collected year-to-date $21,889,885 and paid HCAT $123,003, tax office of $443,389. I want to point out that we still, in the delinquent, it's running off a negative $13,000 because some of the refunds that have been approved in the past for delinquent in lawsuits that had been paid by the tax office. So we're running at minus $19,779 in terms of our delinquent collections for the year. Disbursement for the year, we're at $2,657,153. 507 checks, 616 transactions, and 6 transfers. All the detail is in your packet. Segment data for key divisions. Certification minus $224,032. Records management is at minus $29,830. School-based therapy $803,727. In schools, $717,789. And Choice Partners is profitability variance at $1,811,797, or a profitability ratio or excess ratio at this time of 60%. Our amendments for the month and are for special grants, special revenue funds, $786,147. We've added one, and it's in your packet. We received a letter from HCAC adding a $500,000 in a grant, and so we've added into the budget amendment. And the first one is for Head Start in-kind for $353,577. Early Head Start in-kind, $26,590. The Adult Ed new grant, we received a letter from HCAC, $408,900. And state adult ed for $61,100, and then a decrease in the early Head Start carry forward budget for $64,020. Construction update as of April. This is the information from our closing. Our balance in our bond fund is $13,263,915. We've added this month another $14,000 in interest. Available for the AB West project. And so next month we will bring to you the architect design development for continuing with that particular project. Questions on the interim financial report before I go into the investment report?
Does anyone have any questions?
On our investment report, interest rates continue to go up. This last month, the Fed increased the Fed funds rate, which increased interest rates throughout. Our total portfolio is $49,331,907, of which the PFC is $10,855,700. Total HCDE is $38,476,207. Our investment pool, 87% is different investment pools, $33,483,000, and money market $4,993,036. And the PFC, all of it is in our text pool at this time. We will begin to look at investing in short-term treasury bills and discount notes in the near term as we start climbing the ladder of interest rates as they start building up in the next 6 months. A difference from a year ago, we have 3% more in our portfolio, or 1,233,000 more than a year ago. 38.4 is virtually everything is overnight. And year-to-date earnings are 169,214, and in the PFC, 76,545. Our rates are 1.53 average, and the benchmark is 1.74 because the rates continue to go up. And you can see the progression of rates on how they have climbed the last 6 months in those rates. So we're at 1.7. A year ago, we were at 0.59, so it's 1% 1% difference from a year ago. Questions on the information presented? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we got the monthly.
We're going to do the action item consensus.
Oh, consensus. Okay.
And see if anybody wants
I got you.
reserve.
Gotcha. Okay. Right now, we're going to go over the consensus agenda, and we're taking 6F. We're going to put that into the non-consent agenda. And does anyone have? Are there anything here listed that any fellow trustees, want to take off the consent agenda?
C7. C7.
All right.
D as in dinosaur 1. 6, please.
B 1, 2, and 3, and C8.
Anyone else? Is that it? Let's see if I remember how to do this. Okay. So now, do I have or would someone consider making a motion to?
Second.
Okay, and this is, maybe I should say for all the items, save and accept B 1 to 3, C 7, 8, D 1, 6, and F. Oh yeah, D F. Okay. No, it's just F. No, it's not D F. Okay. So we have a motion, and we have it seconded. Trustee Wolf seconded it. So let's put this motion to vote. Discussion. Does anyone have any questions? We want to have any discussion on this? Yes, Trustee Carter.
This is regarding D7, Dr. Carruthers, or purchasing. Anyone? Whomever. It's for case, but you may not be in charge of it.
Yes. The contractor bids?
Yeah. I was actually concerned that not that many different, that we got only 13 responses.
Well, we maintain a bid of over 100 providers. It is opened so that providers can come in throughout the year. And so this is just in this month.
It's a rolling RFP that gets published multiple times a year to where new providers can come in.
Okay. And are any of these new?
Yes. There's a continuation one that's earlier on the
It
agenda.
can't be all new because they all, some of have past relationship with HCDE. What do you mean all new?
They're new in the bid, so sometimes they
Okay.
roll off. So if you don't renew your bid relationship within that time frame, then you have to go reissue bids. So some of them do miss the deadline and have to go in the next call. So you might see a name multiple times if they've missed their renewal.
Okay, they're new in the bid, but they're not.
This particular bid, yes.
Okay. Okay, I just want to encourage us to continue to expand our database. There are lots of great organizations that can work with young children after school or an extended time.
And we do have an open bid right now under that, so anybody that wants to do direct service, the bid is open at the moment. We're doing a real big push for social services because that is our weakness. We don't have a lot of social service providers, so we are actually helping Mental Health America and other people are helping us to promote that bid right now. So that's sort of our gap in the vendors we currently have.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
What's 6F? We moved it to the non-consent.
It's not just F, it's 6F.
6F, okay. Oh, 6F, okay. Okay. So, we have, is there any more discussion? Is there any other discussion? No? Okay. So we have a motion that's been seconded, and maybe we should call it to vote. This is to prove, all the filing items except, save and accept the items we mentioned, which I said F, and I believe it's also 6F. That's what I was referring to. So, all in favor of this? All opposed? All abstain? Passes unanimous. Now, let's move to B1. Consider approving of the following board meeting minutes for 2/28/2018. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second? Okay. Put them together?
Can we put them all together, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, is there any discussion, and this is for, my understanding is this is, a motion to, approve the minutes from B1 to 3, the board minutes all involving that. Is there any discussion for this? Does anyone have any discussion?
I'm abstaining.
And that's perfectly fine. No one having no discussion, if anyone wants to discuss, no discussion?
Mr. Dick, we
Yes.
don't have a second, I don't believe. Dr. Moore, I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah,
Got it.
Trustee Moore did? Dr. Moore, okay. So there's no discussion, so now I'm gonna, we're gonna call this for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? All abstain? One abstention? Okay. So, let's just move right along. 6C, 6C. That's what it is, 6C7. Okay. Consider assignment of a contract for job number 17009KH-08 for janitorial supplies and related items from Last Group Enterprises, Inc. to Advanced Bleeding, Inc., effective upon board approval. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second? Thank you both. Do I have any discussion? Trustee Moore? Excuse me, Trustee Summers.
I'd like someone to explain to us how we handle these assignments. From the data that's in support, there doesn't really tell us how these assignments are handled. I would like to hear that because I think if we are very casual about these assignments, we're making a mistake.
Good afternoon. The assignment was basically to maybe I'm stating the obvious, the purchase of Last Group Enterprises by another company, Advanced Blending. Last Group Enterprises has a contract executed by and between them and HCDE Choice Partners, and therefore it's basically translating to the new company. I'm not sure if that's a simple answer.
Well, in my opinion, a transfer should cause us to vet the new company to see whether or not they would qualify for our use or our vendors' use on their own financials and on their own company practices. You know, when a company is obviously being acquired, sometimes they're being acquired because they're not doing well, and sometimes the acquiring company is not one that we would have okayed on their status. And so I think that we ought to accept the transfer, but then require that the acquiring company also meet our qualifications.
Well, at each and every contract that we have is renewed on an annual basis, as you're very well aware. So there are documents and items submitted at the annual renewal time with the new company's information. But at the time of the contract award, basically it was
if I
went
may,
through the evaluation
at
process.
the time of the transfer, that they have to meet all the requirements under the bid, all the obligations under the proposal that they were awarded to. So they assume all those responsibilities and obligations, and we would monitor that like with any other company that we would have to do. And so we'll follow up and do our due diligence in doing that. Yes.
I speak Mr. Sumner pretty well, so I think that at this point he's asking, when they are acquiring it, did you get a summary sheet from the new company so that we know who they are? And you're not just saying they bought the company, so here we go.
Right.
So,
Then that goes to Choice, and they get that information.
So did you get everything you needed? In other
Yes,
words,
we do get the information and go through the process and make the assignment. We don't rebid it, if that's what you're asking.
No, I don't think he's asking to rebid. He just wants to make sure that if these people met the qualifications when the original contract was issued.
They agree to honor the pricing and all of the terms and conditions in the original proposal and in the contract. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Oh, the
and
parent
including
company.
the pricing as well as all the other terms and conditions.
The
And I'm
document-
assuming we have them complete a new vendor packet with the
Yes.
correct name that has all the required federal and state and local certifications
Right.
and all of that.
Change
That's
the
what he
EIN
said.
and
That's what we
things
need
of
to
those
know.
things.
Thank
Right.
you.
Sure.
Sorry.
So, is there any other questions? Any more discussion? Having had a motion, seconded, and discussed it, let's take a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Let's move to 6C8. HCDE interlocal agreements with Glen Rose Independent School District, Glen Rose, Texas, Bedlam County, Texas, Waxham Independent School District, Waxham, Texas Board of Trustees of Galveston Wharves, Port of Galveston, Galveston, Texas City of College Station, Raylene County. Raleigh, I must say it right, yeah. Raleigh County Board of Education, Beckley, West Virginia, County of Eastland, Texas, Charleston County Sheriff's Office, La Plata, Maryland, City of Alamo, Texas, SCORE Corpus Christi, Texas. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. Let's take Trustee Sumner's. Do we have any discussion?
I have a question. there's a lot of different entities on there. I guess these are all new to HCDE.
Yes, sir. Every one of them are new except there's one that was for ratification, Charles County Sheriff's Office. They were already a member, but just re-ratifying. That's,
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, like, there's a couple of them out of the state on the East Coast. How do each of these entities get notified of being able to apply to get an interlocal agreement?
Most of them come by one way or the other, either a referral from a vendor or a member, or internet searches, and it's typically one or the other. Sometimes a vendor will go out and initiate, or the member will do it on their own, or just a pure internet search.
All right, thanks.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion that's been seconded. We had discussion. Let's put it up for vote. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, all abstain. Let's move to D1. Consider approval of a contract renewal option for job number 15027KJ for Head Start substitute teachers and teachers' aides with the following vendor: Blazenbrook Preparatory Schools for the Arts for the period of 6/15/2018 to 6/14/2019. Do I have a motion? Okay. So we have a motion that's been seconded. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Could someone describe, actually, when we do our substitutes, I haven't seen this. Is what this group does is personnel, or they do other things?
They actually do other things. They have after-school programs and tutoring, I believe.
Substitutes?
Yes.
Okay. And we've used them for substitutes, because I haven't seen.
Yes, we have used them.
Okay. Because that name stands out, so I feel like I
Yeah,
would.
Blazing, it's typically we use Blazenbrook, but I think on the internal purchasing process, this is their full name.
Full name, okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, comments, discussion? No? Okay. So, having had the motion seconded and having discussed it, let's put it up for vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. E6, contract award for job number 18035YR for Head Start substitute teacher and teacher's assistants to the proposers offering the best value at the department and meeting the specifications outlined in the proposal. Child Care Careers LLC and the A1 Personnel of Houston, Inc. for the period of May 1st, 2018 through April 30th, 2023, subject to the annual appropriations of funding. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion? Trustee Lee Carter.
And I'm sorry, I probably could have put this in the consensus, but I just want to emphasize again, this is another vendor for substitute teacher assistants, and I'm still waiting for us to address salaries or have a meeting so that we don't have to use as many substitutes in Head Start. So I pulled it out to emphasize this. I can't set the meeting, but I keep requesting it. Thank you.
Yes. Hold on, we'll get to you.
Just to respond to Trustee Carter's concerns, that I heard them loud and clear. And in fact, we had a special committee meeting several days shortly after you expressed those concerns to develop some proposals and plans to be able to address salary inequities and perhaps adjustments that need to be proposed in the upcoming budget. We had budget meetings today, last week. We probably got about 20 more scheduled, but we're prepared at this point to make a recommendation to the board and present to you exactly what that looks like. And we spent quite a bit of time on that, and so we'll hope that the board will approve that moving forward in next year's budget.
Sure. Trustee Moore?
I just want to
Trustee
confirm that there is a cancellation clause in our contract since we've got it for so many years.
Yes, there is. We always include a cancellation notice or clause.
Is it for cause or just blanket?
It's blanket.
It's both. It's for cause or for termination for convenience with 30 days notice. And then there's also a provision for immediate termination under certain instances of breach.
And then also
and a
annually for
non-appropriation. And a non-appropriation provision.
So there's actually several.
Certainly. Okay, I'm fine. Thank you.
Dr. Evans?
I'm just curious why we don't have our own substitute office. Why do we keep using outside vendors?
That's a great question, Vanita. You can hit that way to the mic. One of the things that I want us to be able to do is to consolidate these. We have a lot of substitute approvals throughout the year. As Trustee Carter pointed out, and it's a topic of big discussion, that we oftentimes have a lot of vacancies with our Head Start program because we're having a difficult time being competitive with salaries, especially for cooks, the teaching aides, and so forth. And so I feel like, and to Trustee Carter's point, that once we are able to make a very aggressive adjustment to our salary scale, we'll have fewer vacancies, and hopefully we'll have fewer substitutes, and that will solve some of this problem.
Don't you need, if somebody's sick, don't you have to have a substitute?
Yes, sir.
We
yes,
do.
Sir.
We have internal substitutes who work for a certain period of time, what we call permanent substitutes. But we also have people out on FMLA, and just, we don't want to have that many people on payroll in terms of just subs. So we have subs that come in, if somebody needs to go to the doctor, they work 20 hours a week, they don't want to work full time. And sometimes they don't want to work all day. But we do have subs, and oftentimes when we have openings, we're able to pull from that pool of subs and hire into permanent positions. But we only have so many slots for HCDE Head Start subs.
Well, I guess I'm a little confused because I know subs at most districts are at-will employees, and if they work, they get paid. And
Right.
if they don't work, they don't get paid. So, I mean, like, you know, like I'll give you Cypher ISD, they'll have 2,000 people on their substitute role. You know, and I don't know why do we have a restriction?
We have, well, because we have to budget for subs.
We got a budget to pay these people from other companies, don't you?
We do, and yeah, I may need help from HR. But we have.
Don't look for her. Don't phone a friend. Tell me the answer.
We do have sub positions, but our need is greater than and it's a lot to hire people and keep them on payroll too. Whereas with the subs, we can hire them. If they come in, they work well, we can keep rolling. If they don't work well, we can say bye-bye, don't come back again. So there's different.
Well, that's the same if you have an internal sub. That's the same thing.
Yeah, it's just the hiring process we actually have to go through the full hiring process.
Natasha's going to come bail you out.
Please.
So right, there's no limit on the number of subs we can have internally. So we do have a pool of substitutes that HCDE employ. And as Vanita mentioned, when they have vacancies, we typically fill those positions with our own substitute pool. So when we pull those subs and we move them into full-time positions, then we use the agencies then to fill in for the substitute we now employ as a full-time person. So we're constantly hiring our own internal substitutes and then also using the agency to help fill in the void when we don't have enough substitutes on the payroll.
Just kind of maybe for my own edification, could you sometimes send us how many subs we have on the active list? I'm
Yes.
kind of curious because we keep seeing this. So I'm just kind of curious why we're doing it. So.
Yes, and luckily, because of the turnover, we are able to hire those substitutes into our full-time positions due to the turnover.
Discussion. We discussed that. Oh, Diane Troutman.
Benita, I think what I'm hearing is, in so many words, that it's not easy to find people to work that are, even on paper, may look good, but they don't work out, and you're stuck with them. So you use that subsystem to really train and try out people. And
It's
we
also-
certainly want the best for 3- and 4-year-olds and younger.
It's also a piece about the qualifications. The substitute folks, they have to give us the qualifications, but once we hire them, they have to have the CDA. So we can use the subs with the experience, and they don't have to actually have the CDA, but they have to have a certain number of training hours. Once we bring them in as employees, we have to send them to school to make sure they get the CDA. So it's a lot more involved in
A lot of investment, time invested in these employees.
as employees. Yes.
Good.
Why don't you tell everybody what CDA is, because not everybody
Oh, I'm
might know
sorry.
what that is.
It's a child development credential.
Thank you.
And it's required by the Head Start performance standards for employees.
Is there any other discussion? Having a motion and it's seconded and having gone through discussion, let's put it up for vote. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Okay. Okay. A break and switch out? I'm good. Okay, we're going to take a quick little bio break. It's 2:35. We'll be back. That's fine.
I speak Eric Dick pretty well, too. Give me the opportunity.
Good. Are y'all coming tomorrow night?
Randy's
already got her outfit picked out.
See what I got? All right, it's 2:46. We're back in session, and we're going to do the non-consent items now. We did move item 6F from the consent agenda to the non-consent agenda, so we'll handle it first. So, do I have a motion for 6F?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I got a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? Anybody have any discussion? Yes, sir, Michael.
Well, I've just got a question. Why did we move it off of the consent?
There's the answer right there.
Hello. So we are applying for Cycle 10, the TA grant, to receive funds for 10 centers to serve 975 students and 400 family members. As part of the competitive process, the grant requires signatures from the board on a letter of support. And so this is why we moved it to this, so that you could approve it. And I have the letter, fabulous, beautiful letter here after when you break for you to come around and sign. We're overachievers, so we've also asked our partner districts to do a similar letter, and we have all those back already.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to have a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Let us know where it's going to be, okay? Okay, item 7A on the non-consensus has been pulled by request of the superintendent, so we'll go to 7B. Consider approval of contract with UDI, job number 13/068, DG38, for expanded backup storage for Irvington and NPO data centers in an amount not to exceed $78,000, $78,369.92. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I got a motion. I have a second. Got a second by Dr. Troutman. Motion by Mr. Dick. Do I have any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Summers.
I think it was last month or the month before, well, not last month, but the month before, that we approved some additional computer equipment, servers, et cetera, that I was led to believe was for backup and storing information. So what's the difference between this and that?
Good afternoon. Yes, the storage that we bought in December was for file storage. That is different than this. This particular storage that we're buying here is for backups. Our data consumption continues to grow, and our backups don't have any place to put the backups, so we have to expand the backups.
Okay, so that brings up the question of why we're not backing up on the cloud.
If you're concerned about 78,000, cloud storage, cloud backup would be quite a bit more expensive, because you're constantly buying storage when you use cloud backup. It's not a one-time cost, it's an annual cost.
Oh, I understand that, but I've been led to believe by other people that it's actually very economical to do that. Is that incorrect?
It can be somewhat economical, but you also look at the security concerns that go with going to the cloud. When you put your data in other people's hands, you may find that other people are data mining your data, and you'll start get all types of spam and everything. And the security is just the minor thing on it.
Okay, well, there's some pretty big outfits that have clouds that there wouldn't be so many people on there if they had security problems.
Well, I don't doubt that at all. I agree with you on that. Yeah. It's just that we have found that right now we have grown so much in space. Right now, I think the last quote that I got on cloud storage was somewhere around $2,000 per terabyte. Mm-hmm. And so right now we have probably about 70 or 80 terabytes of space. So if we take that to the cloud, that would be our cost per year.
So we can get all that on $78,000 worth of equipment?
Right now, this is the backup. The initial purchase that you talked about.
Well, we're talking about apples and oranges now. I'm talking about just the backup. How much space do we need for that?
Well, this backup that we're purchasing here is to expand the current backup. This is not all that we would have. This is expanding the.
This is in addition to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, it's an add-on, but how much do we have in storage right now and backup now in terabytes?
We are probably looking at somewhere around 40 terabytes. I'll have to verify that with one of my network engineers.
With the addition of this, how long do you project that this will be good for?
We think that this will carry us well. The growth rate seems to be pretty erratic right now. I would like to be able to say that we could probably use this for the next 3 to 4 years. But with the rate that data is growing, I can't guarantee that.
Okay. And my other question is, where is this equipment going to be located?
This equipment, whenever the data domain is a apparatus that we have to match it here and at NPO. So we'll have part of it will be here and part of it will be at NPO.
Okay, so if this place burns down, NPO will have it,
yes,
or vice versa?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, let's have a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, consider approval to amend the payments of 3 early Head Start child care partners EHS CCP service agreements. Payments are fully funded by the Head Start grant. And it's going to be for Descott LLC, Descott LLC, DBA Cool Kids Daycare, RFP 16/014YR. Fellowship of Purpose Early Childhood Learning Centers, RFP 15/051YR, and Let's Learn Christian Learning Center, RFP 15/051YR. Now, I've been told it's also supposed to show that we're going to be, this is going to accommodate 40 students.
For the first bullet, for cool kids.
For the cool kids? That's going to, that's, okay. That is going to, should be payments for 254 days, and that's going to serve up to 40 students, not where it says 24 students. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Dick, I got a second by Dr. Troutman. Do I have any discussion? Okay, let's have a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. So we're going to go to 7D. Consider approval to purchase playground equipment and installation from Playgrounds by Kaplan, job number 17/046MR for HCDE Head Start Child Care Partners, EHSCCP, in the amount of $115,446.69. It's fully funded by Head Start funds. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Dick. Do I have a second? Got a second by Dr. Troutman. Do I have a discussion? Yes, sir.
Sure. So we heard Ms. Vera talk earlier, and she had big concerns, which I do too, about if we are putting playground equipment on private property. Well, first, I guess the first question I have for somebody is: Are we putting playground equipment on private property?
That would be Ms. Peacock. This is your day in the barrel there, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We are placing playground equipment on private child care centers that we are partnering with the grant that we received specifically for the purpose of improving the quality of infant toddler care in the community. It is a partnership between the Department of Child Care and the Office of Head Start. And they came together, and we took this grant in 2015. It's a 5-year grant, renewable, and it specifically provides funds for these purposes.
You have a memorandum of understanding or some type of agreement?
Contract.
You have a contract with each of these companies that it lays out the fact this is our equipment and so on and so forth?
Yes, it does. I will defer to about the specifics.
You're going to phone a friend again on me, aren't you?
As any time federal money is involved, there's a lot of federal regulations that come attached to that, and part of those federal regulations do dictate all of the questions raised by Ms. Vera and by Trustee Dick, specifically to CFR 200.313 specifically says that title and equipment acquired by a non-federal entity like HCDE through a federal award vest in the non-federal entity into HCDE, but it's a conditional title, which means that a federal interest attaches to it. And so you have to use the equipment for the authorized purposes under the grant. So for example, in this particular case, the playground equipment must be used to further the partnership grant that was awarded by Health and Human Services to HCDE. In the event that, for example, if the grant ends or the particular relationship with the partner ends, then the federal regulations say that you can continue to use the equipment in the program for which it was acquired, and if it's until it's no longer needed. And when it's no longer needed for that particular program, you should request disposition instructions from the federal agency, so from Health and Human Services, when it's no longer needed for the original project. And so if that point in time comes, then the federal regulations then say it depends on the dollar amount. If it's $5,000 or less, the federal government is going to waive its interest and allow HCDE and or the partner to have the equipment, to maintain the equipment. If it's more than $5,000, then HHS will dictate what happens to that particular equipment. But so long as it's used for the purposes of the program, which here is childcare, it can continue to be used. Additionally, though, our contract specifically says, references playground equipment, like all of our lease agreements do, and says that in the event that that contract is terminated, we have the right to remove that equipment. I hope that answers the question.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, you got another one.
Sure.
Is this just equipment? It's not site preparation?
It's installation. It's turnkey for the full prepping, installation of the playground.
Okay, so the ground under the equipment is part of the expense?
Yes.
Pairing that with the rubber or whatever?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. And did I hear correctly that, say that this equipment's obviously going to depreciate quite rapidly? Are we talking about the value of the equipment at the time, or are we talking about the original cost?
There's none of the equipment is over the threshold of $5,000 per piece. When we buy it as a unit, but when HHS requires me to inventory it, they look at it, is there anything over $5,000, that any individual item? And so that's the basis requirement for my inventory for Health and Human Services.
So it might just be end up being abandoned on site.
One of the points of the grant was to improve the care in the community.
Yeah.
So they don't want us to remove it unless that facility no longer provides care.
I got you.
So the intent is for the equipment to stay in the community for perpetuity as long as children are there to use it?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a
Yes,
question.
sir.
I'm just looking through the names. Some of these are their faith-based organizations, it looks like Let's Learn Christian Learning Center.
Yes, it is.
Are the others Jones?
Well, I'm sorry. Let's Learn is not affiliated with the religious entity, but Purpose Kids is. It is a child care center ran by a church, but Let's Learn is not.
Even though it says Christian in there, it's not a religious faith-based?
I believe that has something to do with the belief of the owner, but it is not it's not affiliated with any other religious entity.
Is it a not-for-profit?
They these are for-profit businesses.
Okay.
Except for the church.
Except for the one.
Except for Fellowship of Purpose.
Any other questions? All right, we're gonna have a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Did you do anything?
I'm
Did you vote?
abstaining. No, I'm
You're not-
abstaining.
Okay, all abstaining? All right, so we have 6, 4, and 1 abstention. All right, we're going to do 7E now. Consider rescinding approval of agreement with TXU Energy, job number 16/052JN, approved at the 2/28/2018 board meeting. Approving an agreement with TXU Energy, job number 16/052JN, for a term, initial term and renewal terms, if any, not to exceed 84 months. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second by Dr. Troutman, and the motion was by Mr. Dick. Do I have any discussion? The question comes to why?
What happened?
Yes. The market has been very volatile and it's actually moving higher. And so in order to attain a lower rate, we need to extend the time frame. What you have there in front of you is a 2-page handout that gives you the current rates as of today. And so the lowest rate attainable right now is 0.04196 for 83 months. In the second page, you see the trend since April of last year of where the price tracker has been on the gas, and so this last few months with some changes in the market has caused the range that was approved by the board to not be within the range attainable. So we're asking that that range be adjusted. It will still be lower than our current rate at 0.04403. So our target number is to be at 0.04196, which is the number that you see there in the first page.
So you're asking lower cost.
I'm sorry?
This is going to lower the cost.
It will lower our costs from our current contract that we currently have. However, from what we thought we could get, it would be higher for about 0.05 from what we were about 2 months ago.
So why would we let them out of a contract?
Well, there's no contract because it is on availability.
On a month-to-month.
You have to. It's not month-to-month. It's what's available in the market, and the market has been moving due to volatility in the oil prices.
Okay, when we passed it before, we were led to believe that that was a fixed rate contract.
It is a fixed rate contract if you have it available on that day, but it wasn't available on that day anymore.
Well, then it's not a fixed rate contract if you're going on the current pricing.
You can't fix it. By the time that we come to you here, we cannot fix it.
Okay, but what you're saying, it'll be fixed once they approve it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, through 84?
Through 84. So if you look at right now, where it says, I'm sorry, 83. 83. 0.04196, that is a price that is eligible for us to contract until 6 p.m. today. So if we wait until after 6 p.m., we have to reprice it tomorrow morning and see where it is and see if we want to enter into that contract.
Have we talked to our current provider as to whether or not they would lower the rate?
They are our current, no, our rate, no, they'll go back to the market. They'll do the same thing.
I guess I'm probably thinking the same thing Don is, since these folks we approved it and they decided they didn't want to do it because we didn't do it in a certain time frame. If is there anybody else we've looked at to see who might?
No,
we're not married to these folks. We can do somebody else.
I think what Dr. Amesco is saying is the rate is fluctuating.
Right.
And so the board approved a rate, and then by the time we were ready to move on it, it fluctuated again, and we couldn't get that rate.
I understand that part.
So what you're asking for us to be more agile.
Right. And when we went to the board to approve, we only set a range of X amount of, 0.35 to 0.040.
So it's more our fault than their fault?
It's no one's fault. The market's moving.
Well, if you got till 5 o'clock today, I'm just asking,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
For this one in particular. Would it be that tomorrow the rate will be lower? Well, that's a chance that we have to take to see if it's lower or not. And I don't know that it's going to be lower based on the trend. So I'd rather us move forward with it, knowing that we have a number between now and 6 p.m.
But we all have energy. We all understand rates going up and down and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying is usually if I have a company and I say I'm going to do it at a certain rate, that's what I get.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just surprised that we're having to come back and go back again. So.
Well, it's because the agenda language was only very tight. The range that we got approval, we put it very tight. And since then, the oil prices and changes in the market have affected this prices.
Let me ask one more question.
Hang on.
Will there be an escape clause for TX?
No, it's fixed for 83. It would be fixed for 83 months.
Okay. They're not a real viable company. That they've been in bankruptcy.
Oh. I'll let Ms.
Hi, I'm Emily with TXU Energy. So actually that bankruptcy happened a few years back. We've been out of it for some time now, and actually are one of the most financially stable companies. We actually just recently acquired Dynegy, which is allowing us to expand into additional markets, and we are the largest generator and retailer in the state of Texas. So financially, I would not, TXU is extremely stable, along with our parent company, Vistra Energy, who is now traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but y'all are still thinly capitalized. So, but That's the chance we take. Y'all are going to give me $600 for my $20 a month gas electric bill.
All right, Erica?
Two questions since you're here. No, please stand.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank
Emily.
you. Could you tell me what you all do in terms of clean energy?
Absolutely.
And my part two, I guess, will be for Mr. Mesqua. I'm a little concerned on the length of the term. It's actually longer than a board trustee's term. It's about 6 years, several months. So, but you can talk about clean energy
Absolutely.
first.
So, actually, and I'll like to speak to two things. So, one, we are one of the largest purchasers of wind energy. In addition to that, we are actually building, and it's in the final stages of completion, a large solar facility in Upton County, West Texas. It's about 180 megawatts, so pretty large scale. In addition to that, we like to really get involved in the communities. We have what we call as our TXU Energy Aid. So we actually help through United Way, other organizations. We help pay for, distressed families, a lot of Hurricane Harvey victims to pay for their electricity bills. So I don't know the full total amount, but I know we've given over, I think, $2 million to help lower income, elderly families pay for their electricity bills. In addition to that, we do a lot of tree plantings. We have partnered with Texas Trees, Houston for Trees to do tree plantings at ISDs, cities, counties. We're actually, on this Saturday, we're having a program at Cy-Fair ISD, partnering with Papa John's, Cy-Fair ISD, and the TXU to give over 450 5-gallon trees to families that have been impacted by Hurricane Harvey. So TXU is really, really invested. I mean, I'm extremely proud to work for this company. We're extremely invested in the community. So a lot of the people that you're helping, TXU is helping as well. And so those are just a few things that we do, but renewable energy, we're 100% vested in it. Why the market has moved is actually because coal plants have closed down. There's been 3 large major coal plants that have closed down since October of last year. So coal's on its way out, which I think for everybody is great news. And renewable solar and wind energy is on its way in. Texas is actually the largest producer of wind energy, which is surprising because we're oil and gas driven, but we have a lot of wind, we have a lot of solar. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, for anybody that's not familiar with them, they are by far the major company in North Texas.
Yeah, and we're, Houston, we're growing a presence. I mean, Luminant is our sister company who owns all the generation facilities. So we have nuclear, we have coal, we have gas generation, we have solar, and then Vistra is our parent company that will be that holds the TXU, the Dynegy, and the now Dynegy and Luminant, brands.
Okay, Trustee Carter, I believe you had a question.
Maybe I was. Thank you.
Okay.
I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
The length of the term, I know that helps us get this rate, but I do have a concern. I think it's longer than well over 6 years. And I don't know, seems like our last one was 5 years, or no, our last one, I don't know what our last one was. But could you clarify and whether that's to do a term that long?
So I'd like to kind of clean this all up, bring it all back. So last month, a couple months ago when we signed it, we had a very restrictive, we wouldn't go over a certain kW per age. Well, that market moved. Well, now we're bringing to you, if you read the language, it gives us up to 84 months. Up to, not to exceed. So it gives us a lot of options to look at. If you look at the 60-12, 60 plus 24. So I just want to be sure, Dr. Mesqua, we don't just say 84 months or 83. We're giving ourselves not to exceed that amount and look for best value for HCDE.
Okay, so one more question then. Typically, a lot of contracts, we do always have an out clause. We don't have an out clause on this one?
I'll have to defer that to Sarah, but I think she's scanning that contract right now. But typically, I want to say there is
usually with a government entity, we have that. We always have that option. I was kind of surprised to hear we didn't.
There is a termination provision specifically for breach in the event of a breach. I'm looking to see, Greg, where's the term? Because you alluded to that it's up to
If you read
84 months, so what's the initial term? And then does the board get to vote on any renewal term?
let me answer the question,
Are
Sarah.
we giving you all the approval to go up to 83 months?
Or 84, 84.
84 months, but at this point, we don't know what it's going to be until 6 o'clock this evening? Is that what you're trying to tell
Well,
us?
we know what it'll be at 84. We know that
I
amount.
understand that,
at
but you
6
don't know how
of
many
it.
you're going to ask for. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think they said that they have a promised rate that would be approved until 6 o'clock
6
today.
o'clock, at 84 months.
Okay, so when you keep saying up to, but if it's a promise rate at 84.
Well, if we had a better rate at 60/12, or 72, then that would be there, but we don't. I'm just telling you, I didn't want you to think that we didn't look at the whole market.
Okay, yeah, but what
84.
we're voting on is you're talking about doing a contract with them for the
84 months.
84
Not to
months.
exceed 84 months, yes.
All right.
I would say, frankly, I'd be surprised if we had an out and they didn't have an out, so.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, that was clarifying and did not clarify for me.
Yes.
Because what I heard is that what we're voting on, they want to negotiate for 6 o'clock, 84 months. I did not hear we're going to pick something less and then we may add on 12 months. So so to get that rate, I'm hearing that we have to do 84 months.
Yeah, because you're about as clear as mud. So I mean, so I think what she's asking, and that's what I'm trying, and just to clarify, you keep saying up to, but that's not what we're voting on.
To get the rate,
you're going to have a contract with TXU for 84 months, as long as we agree between now and 6 o'clock, and she's still smiling.
Yes.
Right?
And we have best value, yes. We're there.
Mr. Musgrave,
And within the 84 months, we can't change the terms, like we can't reduce it.
I mean, you can have, if you look at the front sheet, you have if you want to go 60 months, the price would be 0.04274. If you want to go 72 months, it's 0.04240. And so you lock it in for those months for that period of time. Now, if there is a termination clause that we want to get out, and I don't know why we want to get out if the trend is that prices are going up, then we would have to, there's terms in the contract where there will be a penalty associated with it. It doesn't behoove us to get out of a contract that has a good rate, and they'll be able to lock it in for a long period of time, knowing that we're going to be buying electricity for a long time.
Probably.
Yeah, I would say this, that the 84 months would be to our benefit, that the price of gas is going to do nothing but go up because of the use of it for making plastics, which we are exporting at a great rate right now. So this, the current price is low in the history of natural gas prices.
It is.
Right. Any other questions or discussions or comments? All right, hearing none, let's have a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? Okay, I have no abstentions, so the vote is 6-4, 1 against. Motion passes.
Louis?
Sir?
I'm sorry, who voted against it?
Oh, you did?
No, I said who voted against it?
Trustee Carter.
All right.
Like I said, I saw your head up there. So. All right, so we're going to go to 7F. Consider approval of a contract award for job number 180016416 for E-rate services for Harris County Department to the proposers offering the best value to HCDE and meeting specifications outlined in proposal for the period of 7/1 of 2018 through 6/30/2021. AT&T for local phone, 1 year month-to-month contract. AT&T long distance, 1 year month-to-month contract. Total Technologies LLC SIP trunk, 1 year contract. And Comcast business leased fiber 3 year contract. So do I have a motion? Got a motion by Mr. Dick. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Wolf. Any discussions? I got one right off the bat. This thing is longer than 1 year, but this thing says AT&T is 1 year. So what are we voting on here? We're doing a 3 year with Comcast and a 1 year with AT&T, or the renewable, or what is it?
E-rate is like a federal grant in which they subsidize our services. The E-rate period is a 3-year period. We can contract for 3 years or less. The first 3 items on this list are for 1 year because E-rate will not support them after the first year. We're not going to award a 3-year contract and only get subsidized 1 year.
Right. I mean, that part I understand, but that's not what the agenda item says. The agenda item says it's from 7/1 of 18 through 6/30 of 2021.
Well,
that's not a year.
The proposal is the E-rate proposal period of 3 years.
All right.
So that's why we broke down the contract separately in the listing.
You did?
The contract period's for 3 years, but we're only going to accept the voice items for 1 year.
Okay.
We're not going to renew them in a year because E-rate's not going to, I mean, we will renew them, but not under the E-rate program.
With the same vendor?
Well, we're going to look at it next year. We're not bound to them after a year. Now, AT&T was the only one that bid on local and long distance. So my guess is, yeah, it would probably be the same vendor because nobody else was interested. As far as the SIP trunk and the leased lit fiber, which is internet service, we had 3 and 4 responses to those. So for the SIP trunk, we'll look at that. We could make a different choice. My guess is we'll go with AT&T.
So to amplify Lewis's question, should the period, the 21 period, be just for the 4th item and not for all 4?
Well, it was one bid under the E-rate program, and the contract that we're writing is 1 year for the first 3 items. The E-rate period under the proposal was 3 years. It's hard to explain, but we didn't have a separate bid for 1 year and a separate bid for 3 years. It was for them to give us their proposals, and we would award the contract based on our best interest.
So let me hold that thought. Let me ask the attorney a quick question. This may solve Don's and my heartburn. If we vote for this, do we give them carte blanche to do something for the next couple of years? Or if they renew AT&T or whoever long distance phone, do they have to bring it back for a vote?
My reading of this agenda item is that you're approving the 4 contracts that are listed there for the periods listed behind each one. So in other words, for example, if AT&T, after the 1 year, if they wanted to renew that contract for an additional year, I would say they'd need to come back and get board approval for that.
Oh, so we would have to approve it too? Okay.
That's how I read this agenda item, and that would be my advice.
That's correct.
Anybody else have any questions?
So what we're saying is the proposal had a 3-year term.
Correct.
But the contracts don't.
Right.
Correct.
To match E-rate.
The wording is just not real good.
It's to match E-rate because the E-rate rules are really specific about, and they want to see certain items including in the agenda, so that's why that's there.
Let us have a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Okay, G, consider first reading of the following revised local policies: BBE local, CDA local, CKC local, DEC local, DF local, DH local, DNA local, EHBAF local, FFAA local, FFF local, FFI local, GBAA local, GKA local, GKC local, and GKE local. So it's just right, do I have a motion?
It's just first reading.
Oh, this first reading? Oh, does anybody have any questions? Attorney got me straight here. Any questions? Okay, we're gonna vote on it next time. All right, with no questions, we'll move on to executive session. So it is now 3:23. p.m., and we will go into executive session. So based on this, is under the Texas Code, Government Code pursuant to any and all purposes permitted by sections 551.001 through 551.084, including but not limited to 551.071 through 551.074. We are adjourned. Do executive session. So for item number 9A, employment for a nurse at Fortis Academy, do I have a motion? Got a motion by Dr. Troutman. Got a second by Mr. Summers. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Item number 9B, consider terminating probationary contract employees, Chapter 1 contract at the end of the contract period in the best interest of the department. Do I have a motion?
I have a, yes.
Here I go, I'm just staring at my paper.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I move to terminate the probationary contract employees Chapter 21 contract at the end of the contract period in the best interest of the department as discussed in executive session, and authorize the superintendent to notify the employee of such action in accordance with applicable law and policy.
Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Troutman. Do I have any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Do I have any other motions? Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Okay. We're adjourned. We will. We haven't done. Okay. All in favor? There you go. No, I knew nobody's going to argue with that one. Yeah. All right, folks. We'll take a 5-minute break and let everybody get ready for our next meeting. We'll reconvene no later than 4:15.
This is supposed to be a closed meeting.
I think so. Sarah, is this going to be a closed meeting?
It's just.
All right. Am I supposed to have something to look at?
Richard.
That's not bad. Not a bad idea.
I got nothing. Remember, it's all right. It is now 4:15. We're going to convene to listen to a level 3 consolidated grievance hearing, and at this time I'm going to turn it over to our attorney, Richard Hightower.
All right, thank you. Speaking of the Harris County Department of Education Board of Trustees, April 18, 2018. For the record, my name is Richard Hightower, and I'm an attorney who will be representing the HCDE Board of Trustees for this hearing. I will also be the presiding officer of the grievance hearing today. The following members of the Board of Trustees are present: Board President Lewis Evans, Vice President Eric Dick, Trustee George Moore, Trustee Erica Lee Carter, Trustee Don Sumners, and Trustee Michael Wolf. So for the record, a quorum of 6 is present. The next item on the agenda, as said, is the Level 3 Consolidated Grievance Hearing of Kimberly Walker. The Board will hear and consider the Level 3 grievance of Ms. Walker today. The first matter to be considered is whether this meeting will be conducted in public, open session, or closed session. The complaints involve a complaint or charge against an HCDE employee. Consequently, although Ms. Walker has asked that her complaints be heard in open session under Texas Government Code Section 551.082, this meeting will be held in a closed session unless an open hearing is requested in writing by the employee or employees against whom the complaint is brought. The employer or employees against whom the complaint have been brought have not made a request for an open hearing. Therefore, the board will now conduct a closed meeting to consider the grievances of Ms. Walker under the authority of Texas Government Code Section 551.082. Everyone not associated with this hearing.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hightower.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me for my interruption of your presentation at this point. Ms. Walker specifically objects to going into closed session. 551.074, she is the subject of the grievance. She is entitled to request a public meeting and open session pursuant to state law. In addition, 551.082, the issue or the law that you have raised in subsection A2 indicates that the person who has made the subject of a complaint, an employee of the district, a complaint by an employee of the district against another employee, and this law goes on to say, and the complaint or charge directly results in a need for a hearing. There's nothing in this record that shows it directly results in a need for a hearing. Moreover, under 551.074, Ms. Walker requests an open hearing because her grievance was filed over district actions, administrative decisions related to her leave and documentation that she received. For those reasons, Ms. Walker specifically objects to the board going into an executive session and again reiterates her request for a public session. That public session is requested tonight, and it was requested in a notice to the district in response to the hearing notice for tonight's hearing.
Okay. Ms. Langlois, do you have a response?
Thank you. Mr. Evans, Mr. Hightower, the HCDE administration believes that this hearing is
You
properly...
speak more closely in the mic.
Sure. The HCDE administration asserts that a closed meeting is required under Section 551.082 of the Texas Government Code because contrary to Mr. Larson's belief that this is not a complaint against an employee, a cursory look at the record, including the very first line of the Level 1 grievance, specifically says that it addresses highly unprofessional conduct by my campus supervisor and goes on to have numerous complaints about the campus supervisor, i.e. a complaint against another employee. I'd like to point you to the Commissioner's decision of Charles Woods versus Hemphill ISD, which specifically addressed whether or not an individual's grievance was properly held in closed session under 551.082. Excuse me. And that grievance decision also cites to Conroy versus Nacogdoches ISD, and says the commissioner concluded that when a grievance is filed, that this directly results in the need for a hearing. So that prong of the statute is met by virtue of the filing of the grievance, then, i.e., a grievance hearing is needed. Additionally, the Woods versus Hemphill ISD case goes on to say, while the whole of petitioner's grievance might not be a complaint against an employee, a serious complaint against two employees is made in the grievance. Respondent, i.e. the school district, rightfully invoked Texas Government Code Section 551.082 as the basis for going into closed session. I submit to you that similarly here, the correct basis to go into closed session is 551.082 and not 551.074, which was not mentioned as a reason to go into closed session. For these reasons, the administration respectfully requests that closed session be held under 551.082.
Mr. Larson, do you feel like you've adequately made your objection into the record?
Yes, Mr. Hightower. Yes, Mr. President. In addition, 551.074 is not a basis for going into closed session. For this purpose, it is the basis on which Ms. Walker requests that an open session be conducted.
Okay. And your objection's in the record. I believe the heart of both grievances, when looked at together, are complaint against a co-employee. And so we're going to go into closed session, but your objection's noted. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So with that, everyone, again, not associated with the hearing should now leave the room. No final vote or decision will be made without the reconvening of this meeting in open session or in a future meeting. We're adjourning the closed session. The date is April 18, 2018. The time is...
I've got a question.
It's 4:22.
4:22.
Do we have the ability to take a vote on whether we're going to have an open session?
In my opinion, that's the decision to be made by the president because it's a procedural matter.
But if one of us can make a motion and have a second and have it voted on.
I'm going to advise the president that it's a procedural motion and it's under the jurisdiction solely of the president.
I'm going to ask that we go have legal counsel I have some questions I'd like to ask our attorney. Can we?
Okay, we're going to, we will adjourn to speak to legal counsel, so everybody hold tight until we come back.
We're at this time adjourning into closed session under section 551.071, which is the attorney-client exception to the Open Meetings Act. The time is?
It's now 4:23. Mr. Parker?
Here they go.
There they go.
Calm down.
Excuse me, Eric. Okay,
We're back in session.
action taken in closed. This hearing is going to be conducted in closed session. Everyone not associated with this hearing should now leave the room. No final vote or decision will be made without the reconvening of this meeting in open session or a duly noticed future meeting. We are adjourning into closed session. The date is April 18, 2018, and the time is 4:33.
Just as a matter of making sure I've dotted and crossed, if my objection still stands even after y'all's recess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Objections.
Okay, so is everybody here supposedly in part of this?
Administration, part of administration.
All of them?
Yep.
All right.
Park at the door.
Seeing no discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion passes 4-2. Okay. Do you want to adjourn us or not adjourn us?
Yeah, do you want to repeat what the results of the motion were?
Okay, so just so y'all are clear, the first for the grievance that related to your
The October 10th.
The October 10th, 2017 grievance, we voted to deny your grievance and that we upheld what the administration did, and so that will stay in place. As far as the November 14th, 2017 grievance, the board voted to grant you relief and to avoid your reprimand. Okay, and that passed 4-2.
And you can adjourn.
Okay. Okay, we are adjourned. It is now 6:38.
Oh, here.